One day after the White House released its tax outline, investors want to know what impact, if any, it could potentially have on economic growth. Steve Liesman did some digging.
The president's tax cut plan immediately launched a vigorous debate among economists. What will it cost and how much growth will it generate? But the president's team threw a wrench in the argument. It didn't release enough info to really estimate the effects, and it did so on purpose.
There's no way to score what we put out yesterday. And we did it on purpose, not to try and hide the numbers, but to say, look, this is the first discussion.
To score the revenue effects of a tax cut, the models need the actual numbers, most of which were not provided by the Trump administration. And they need to know how the cuts are paid for to gauge the deficit and interest rate impacts. In the debate, one side argues that tax cuts spark massive growth, so the tax cuts nearly pay for themselves. Another says the effects will be modest at best and will create huge deficits.
This is a subject that's been enormously studied by economists of both sides of the aisle. We've got lots of experience with broad-based tax cuts, the Bush tax cuts at the beginning of the last decade, the Reagan tax cuts in the 1980s. And you can argue about whether on balance they were good things or whether they were bad things, but there is no serious reading of the evidence that suggests that they came close to paying for themselves by stimulating economic growth.
The administration essentially acknowledges this. In announcing the plan, they said they can bump up growth to 3%, but that won't be enough to pay for the cuts.
This will pay for itself with growth and with reduction of different deductions and closing loopholes.
The Treasury Secretary said 100 people in his department have been working on scoring the plan. But the administration has chosen for the moment not to release any of that work, which would help the public and investors score the tax plan for themselves. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Steve Liesman.